Battle of the Nerd Off. We'll win.
Impressive. Maybe they
He's on the purple, dude.
They're landing in the mining district.
Hello, fellow Araxians. Well, guys, Daybreak Games and the Planetside Arena team has just released their gameplay first look video of the new and improved Planetside Arena. I want to go through it, talk about what we see. There's a lot of good things. They've made a lot of improvements. There's also some disappointing directions that we see here. And I'll go through some of the community reaction, and I'd love to get your reaction as well. So please let us know what you think down in the comments. The absolute first thing I notice is they've done a lot of work improving the polish on the game, without a doubt. The character models look crisper, the animations of the jetpacks look better and more properly located. It's almost if they pulled a string to sort of tighten everything up. So I can definitely tell the art team has been hard at work really finishing up those details to make the game look as beautiful as possible. It does have a certain aesthetic. I've seen some people compare it to Fortnite. I've seen people use the Borderlands comparison. And that's obviously going to be beauty is in the eye of the beholder thing. Some people will like it, think it's really cool, and some people will think it's ugly as sin. I don't know where I'm at. What I will say is I like the additional colors. Planetside 2 got really dull over the years. There was performance pass that messed with some of the textures. The skybox was adjusted a few times. There were some areas that were just generally dull right out of the gate. And then on top of that, a lot of times you have to play it on low, which really flattens out all the colors as well. So having some additional vibrance really does help, in my opinion. From this video, we see the UI hasn't changed very much. The vehicle handling hasn't changed too much. Sounds like they kind of liked where that was at and left it mostly. They have the halberd on the harasser in-game along with vanguards, so you can now have harasser/vanguard battles in this battle royale mode. I do really like the cloud cover in the distance. I'm curious if it's associated with your render range at all. Right now in Planetside 2, if you turn your render range down, your horizon really fades off to this disappointing, mushy gray. But it's a necessary evil for the sake of performance. It would be really nice if your render range really just ended up being shrouded in clouds or something that sort of contributes to the ambience of the game, rather than fading into gray nothingness. I don't know, that's probably wishful thinking, and the clouds are just kind of on the map edge as ambiance. It certainly does look like this user has their settings cranked to high, as you would expect for a video that's going to go on their YouTube channel. So a few good things, a few neutral things. Something that I'm not stoked about is that it is third-person perspective. And my first thought is, that's fine. You'll have your TPP and your FPP, right? Your first-person perspective and your third-person perspective lobbies. And people can just play whatever mode they like. But as far as we understand from the limited communication from the devs right now, is there is not separate queuing options for those two modes. You can play in either mode. If you want to play first-person perspective, you can, or third-person perspective, but they queue together. And that ruins it. It takes first-person perspective out of the picture. If you play first-person perspective while everyone else is playing third-person perspective, you are massively handicapping yourself. They can look around trees, around corners, around buildings, inside of buildings, over rock ledges, without exposing themselves. While if you are playing first-person perspective, every time you make one of those peaks, you're giving the enemy a chance to shoot at you. If you don't separate the queues for each mode, you are only offering third-person perspective in your game. And the community seems pretty unified on all of these fronts. Gameplay looks about the same as we saw the first time around in beta testing. They definitely tightened up the visuals. I totally agree there. The Borderlands effect is a matter of preference. Some people will really like the cell shading, and some people will dislike it. I got a sidetrack for just a second. Look in the center of the screen there. Respawn terminals are no longer available. This is a great addition. Apex Legends has really set the bar there. You've got to have a way to bring people back into Battle Royale, whether you're playing teams or especially if you're playing squads. That feature was not in the first round of beta testing back in January. One thing I did like that they improved in the animations is when you land on your ATV, your character bounces around a little bit more, akin to real life if you take a hard hit when you're landing on the ground. Okay, back to where we were. By far, the big critical feedback that we're seeing is why third-person mode. And the responses from the developers are frustratingly tone-deaf on this one. When people are saying that, they're not asking if there's an option to swap between. That's just expected. No one cares if you can swap between them. What they're concerned about is, are there separate queues, like PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds does. And I hope that the fact the response is so disappointing is just the fact that that's the way it is, and that's all they can say. You've got an option, but that's all we're offering. I would be really concerned if they actually think that that's a good answer and solution. If they're thinking, wait, why are people worried about this? You can play either way. If that's the case, there is a knowledge gap of what Battle Royales are, how they play out, and how the different modes are played. You are at a huge disadvantage if you play first-person perspective while other people can play in third. You are forced to play the meta, the most effective tactic available, and that is playing in third-person mode. You completely lose the feel of a first-person mode shooter where angles matter. You can sort of sneak around. Here's the tough thing about it. I can see why they only went with one option because it's going to be hard to fill up lobbies. I mean, you've got everything working against you here when this game comes out early access. First of all, it's 300 player battles. So you already have to find 3 to 5 times the amount of players as the other large battle royales out there right now, just to start a match. Second, on September 19th, early access launch, it's pay to play. So that means you're already going to have a lot less people queuing up. And third, you're launching with 2 modes. So now you have split your player base, maybe 25% here and 75% there, but whatever it is, you have less players queuing for each mode. So you've got those 3 things working against you. Then if you added what would be effectively 2 additional modes by doing a third person and a first person mode for both the teams and squads, now you've got 4 different types of game modes you're trying to fill with a player base that has to pay to play and very large game modes for each one of those modes. People are going to really struggle to get lobbies to launch if they thin out the population that much. So, what all that comes down to is they have to make a call. Are they going to do first person or third person? And they made the call of third person. That is disappointing to me and a lot of other Planetside 2 players. I think what's going on here is H1Z1 was mostly third person. Maybe it was all third person. I can't even remember. Sorry, guys. I would assume there was a first person option in it. But I remember the tournament I watched was played in third person, and the PS4 version seems like was always played in third person. And remember, the lead designer here was the lead designer for H1Z1. So I think what we're seeing here is a lot of influence from their H1Z1 development as to why they allowed third person to be their primary mode. Obviously, there is a chance it will change, but they're sort of stuck between a rock and a hard place here, where they're trying to attract their arcadey type of players from the H1Z1 days, bring them back into the fold of Daybreak Games. But you're fighting against 15 years of history of Planetside franchise. You have to make sure you're delivering something good for that player base, for the die-hard fans of that franchise, or your game's not going to live long enough to attract the people that used to play H1Z1. So guys, that's your first look at the squads mode for Planetside Arena. Again, that was around during the last beta testing. Now, squad mode has been done before in PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, but it was mostly done with respawn potential. I remember they did run a squad battle royale once, but I never saw it come back. What would happen is, if you lost 2 of your guys early on in the match, it just sort of ruined the rest of the match because you were hosed. You were too small of a squad to make it from there. So I know they've added respawn terminals, and I'm hoping that's something where if your squad makes it to one, you hit the button and the 3 dead guys you have just all come back to life. But if you have to find one respawn terminal for each person, man, that's going to suck. I just don't know how Battle Royale squad mode is going to go. You're either going to bring your Planetside 2 outfit, bring your squad, be a coordinated, awesome team, and absolutely dominate, or you're going to play open squads, and you're going to end up with a range of skill from above average to a complete potato, and it's going to be a complete disaster. I mean, it's difficult enough getting the 3 people in Apex Legends to work together. Try queuing up with randoms for a full 12-man squad mode. So I don't know. Right now I'm super worried about queue time. Queue time was really bad in the closed beta testing. And we usually launched without full matches. And I think most people say, well, that's beta testing for you. When the game launches, there'll be more players. And I guess my question is, will there though? It's not a free-to-play game. It's not like people are going to just crawl out of the woodwork, find it on Steam, and say, what the heck, I'll install this. Like, people have to commit to it. They have to say, I want this. They have to say, I want to pay $20 just to play one round of this. I mean, that is a massive commitment in this landscape of gaming where you can go on Steam and find thousands of free games you can load up and play if you're just looking for something new. Not to mention Fortnite and Apex Legends, other AAA Battle Royales that you can play for free. So guys, that's where we're at with Planetside Arena right now. Whenever there's fresh information on it, I will be bringing you news on that. And don't worry, that doesn't mean that I will stop doing Planetside 2 tutorials and guides. I will keep those flowing as fast as I can. Yes, I'm talking to you, user Advanced Heavy Assault Guide. But that's all for now, fellow Araxians. Until next time, I will see you Planetside.